uh, Marone said the other day that he's finally started to take it from the practice field to the games. What was, in your opinion, what was lacking in that regard, and how has Colin improved in that?
Well, I think when the plays have presented himself, Colin has started to take advantage of them. I think earlier in the year he might have been pressing a little bit too much to make a big play. Now I think he's letting it happen and letting his size take over and understanding concepts and where to be. And the quarterbacks are, especially Mike, is gaining trust in him and giving him opportunities to make plays. So a lot of that goes hand in hand. The quarterback's got to have trust in you as a player, and then when you do get the opportunity, you got to make the plays. And Colin has definitely done that the last 2 weeks.
What is it? Is it the size, the leaping ability? Does that overshadow the speed? Maybe.
Yeah, probably. I don't think he's a burner, but he's not slow by any stretch of the imagination. I think when you're a long strider like that, you do gain ground rather quickly. So he's got a good combination of a lot of skill set that is necessary to play the position, but size is definitely his number one quality, length and ability to jump and high point the ball. We had some opportunities early in the year. He mistimed his jump a couple times, and that was a little bit of a concern, but I think he's got that figured out and a little anxious to get off his feet, but now he's making the plays.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Thanks, Gary. We'll go to Mark Long.
Hey, Jay. James Robinson, we ask you about him every week, but he's closing in on 1,000 yards. Is there anything you've learned about him through 12 games that you didn't know going into the season?
Well, I think consistency. You never know about a young player, how he handles the week in and week out approach of pro football. This is a long season for these guys coming out of college, 16 games and training camp and all that stuff. They're not used to that. And the wear and tear can break some people down. But James is doing excellent as far as taking care of his body, staying healthy, and continue to understand what we're trying to do in the running game, getting better and better in the passing game. There's still some things that we got to correct. We probably having to play him a little bit too much, like I mentioned last week. But, I think just the consistency level that he's performed with over the course of these 12 games has been very impressive for a young player.
You ever have a deep conversation with him? He's not much of a talker for
deep?
us.
No,
yeah,
I don't have deep conversations with anybody. I'm unable to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. We'll go to John Shipley and then John Reed.
Hey, Coach. Coach Marone earlier today said he thought Ben Barch was trending in the right direction, his development. What have you kind of seen from his growth over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think we've seen the talent that he has, the skill set that he has for an offensive lineman. He's smart. He's got great feet. He's strong. Now it's just a matter of putting it all together, and we're asking him to do that rather quickly. For a guy from a small school like he came from up there in St. John's, Minnesota, to come in here and play pro football just 13 or 14 weeks later is a tough challenge. But he's up to it, and he's getting better and better. We don't expect him to be perfect. He's going to have his problems here and there, but it's our job to make sure we get him some help when we can. And but for the most part, he's just got to go out there and play. And he's going to learn from this. And he's going to get better because of it. But we love his skill set. We love his attitude. We love his toughness. Now it's just a matter of being consistent with his fundamentals and his eyes and where he's going and how he's getting there.
Thanks, Coach. And a quick follow-up. I know maybe it's been hard at times for the connection with DJ Chark this year, but how would you just assess how he individually is playing in terms of getting open and providing a target for the quarterback?
Yeah, we've targeted him quite a bit. I think the targets / catch ratio, I don't think is very good. It's not DJ's fault, all of DJ's fault. It's not all the quarterback's fault. So it just hasn't happened like we would like it to happen. That's part of the reason we're sitting here on an 11-game losing streak. He's our number one guy, and we got to figure out better ways to get him the ball. He's got to do a better job getting open. We got to do a better job of giving balls when he is open. So it goes hand in hand. But DJ's a phenomenal player. He's a great young player. He works hard. He's very unselfish. I'm sure there's been times in the course of some games where he hasn't got targeted or hasn't got the ball that he could really blow up like some receivers do, but he stays the course, stays positive. And I think it's gonna make him better in the long run. So we're gonna keep trying to feed him. We're gonna keep trying to get him the ball, but we just got to get better around him and protection routes got to get better. Throws got to get better. We all got to get better. Play calls got to get better. But we definitely got to get DJ more involved.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shipley. We'll go to John Reed and then Gene.
How you doing, Coach? What has been the most difficult aspect of you being a play caller with 3 different starting quarterbacks this season?
It's hard. I had 3 in 5 games last year at Washington. I had 3 or 4 the year before that in Washington. So I've had about 10 quarterbacks I've dealt with in a small amount of time, and the consistency of that position is really important. It's critical to have success. You have to have consistency of that position. Talking to one guy, speaking the same language, catering to their strengths, and when you're changing week in and week out, it's hard to get a gauge on what they like, what they're comfortable with. So that's the most difficult thing. So, I think we're dealing with 3 great kids, guys that want to be great. They work extremely hard. But as a play caller, getting to know what they like and them getting to know me a little bit, that's the biggest challenge that we have. And now this will be the 3rd week with Mike. Hopefully, I'm starting to get in his head a little bit, and he understands where we're going and what I think he likes. So that'll hopefully be beneficial.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, John. We'll go to Gene and then wrap up with Cassidy.
Hey, Jay. Doug has said that he wants to see more of a workload from Gardner before he, would get consideration probably for being the starter. In your mind, how close is Gardner to getting to reaching the threshold of that workload Doug is talking about? And how much of him possibly starting a game is going to have to do with Mike Glennon not performing well enough?
Well, we have high hopes that Mike will play well and there won't be an issue. That's number one. That's one thing we're focusing on right now. As far as making a change to Gardner, that's up to Coach Marone, and his workload is up between him and the trainer and his personal masseuse or whoever the heck he talks to. I don't know. I know quarterbacks have to throw the ball in order to get better. That's the only way you get better is by repetition and throwing the football to your guys, different cuts, over and over and over again. And if you're not able to do that, then it's hard to show the team that we should have confidence in you making it happen on game day. So I think, Gardner's got to get his arm right with the trainer. He's got to continue to progress and throw a lot of balls in practice for us to see that he's ready to go. But as far as making that change back to Gardner, that's up to Coach Marone. And obviously, hopefully, Mike Glennon plays well this week. It won't be an issue.
As a follow-up, obviously he's performing well enough physically to make him the backup. What you're seeing from Gardner in practice now, how does that compare to what you saw in practice, before this injury even became an issue?
Yeah, it's really difficult because we don't throw the ball a lot. I mean, obviously we throw in practice, but you have individual periods, then you have team periods. In the team period, you're trying to get starter ready. So Gardner doesn't get many reps. He gets a few with the starters, and then he does some of the scout team stuff, which, over the course of practice, you're talking about probably 30 team reps, and then the individual reps, he's getting some throws as well. So we're trying to cater to Mike Glennon right now, but also keep a close eye on Gardner where he is. To me, his arm looks fine. I don't see any difference from now and when it was in training camp. But that's something between he and the doctors and the trainers that I didn't see any difference when he had the so-called hurt thumb, when he had the hurt thumb. I didn't see a difference either. So only Gardner can tell you how his arm's feeling. And then obviously only Coach Marone can make that decision to go back to Gardner if he sees fit.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Gene. We'll wrap up with Cassidy.
Hey, Coach, 2 quick things. First, I know that as the season is going on, you have evolved so as Tennessee. How much of the game plan stays the same from week 2? How much changes?
Well, I think there's going to be some change. Obviously, we're not going to run the same plays. I think, we've gotten better, a little bit better, different ways to attack different personnel groups. But Tennessee's defense has changed a little bit, not a whole lot. They had Jonathan Joseph at corner. He's not there anymore. So they've had some different people rotating in a corner. But for the most part, it's a good defense. They do the same stuff. They have simulated blitzes. They'll blitz 4 or 5 different guys. You don't know where they're coming from, different fronts. Simmons is a great player on the inside. Obviously, Clowney played last time. He's not playing this time. So some of their key players aren't available this week, but they're still a very good football team. Obviously, they're in the hunt for the AFC South Championship, so they have a lot to play for, as do we. Whose dog is that? As do we, trying to break this losing streak, and it's a big rivalry game. So there's a lot to play for on both sides. Both teams are very good, and I know Coach Vrabel is going to have his team ready.
Sorry, she had been so good. I knew she was.
That's all right.
Secondly, you mentioned the quarterbacks in Washington. As someone who is close to the situation, I'm just curious, how much do you point to Alex Smith and what he's come back from as just an example of perseverance?
Yeah, it's incredible. I would have bet my life that there's no way he'd ever play again, and here he is playing and beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I mean, it almost makes you choke up when you think about what he's gone through to get to where he is. It is the most unbelievable comeback story that I've heard of. And he's such a great person, great guy, great leader. When we lost him, we were 6-3, 2-game lead in the division. And then obviously we finished 7, and we finished 7-9 that year, and obviously had our struggles, and I got let go. But that type of player, that the leader of your football team, when he goes down and has the issues that he has, it hurts everybody. But to see him come back from what he's gone through is just an incredible feat. So happy for him and his family. They're such great people that you can only smile and just, it's just incredible. It's unbelievable. I would never even think about coming back after what he's been through.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Thanks, Cassidy. Gene, did you have another follow-up?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you guys. Yep.
We'll see you guys after practice with Mike Lennon.